Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you.
What happened to the side character networks never trusted? The greaser who hijacked a whole era in 1974. From fan mail avalanches to leather jacket panic, his rise changed TV forever. Let's find out how the Fonz became a legend. The Fonz was too big for Hollywood to ignore. Happy Days was supposed to be a simple, wholesome 1950s family sitcom. Richie Cunningham, the boy next door, was the anchor. Ron Howard's face was on every poster, and Henry Winkler was buried deep in the credits, listed after Marion Ross, Anson Williams, and Tom Bosley. Fonzie was just supposed to be a little extra flavor, but the audience had other plans. By season 2, ABC's mailroom was buried in fan letters, tens of thousands a week, many of them just addressed to the Fonz. Staff later recalled piles of envelopes stacked on carts, the name Fonz scrawled across mailbags because the letters arrived faster than they could sort them. At the height of the show, Winkler himself said he was getting around 50,000 letters a week. That kind of response thrilled and terrified the network. Side characters are safe, breakouts are unpredictable, but the numbers didn't lie. By the 1976 to 77 season, Happy Days finished as the #1 show in America, with something like 30 million people tuning in each week at its peak. Nielsen surveys showed the same thing. Kids watched for Fonzie, teens copied Fonzie, adults quoted Fonzie. Living rooms across America had the same rhythm. Dinner, dishes, then that theme song, and a leather jacket everyone in the house recognized before a single line was spoken. The Fonz was suddenly the gravitational center of the show. At first, ABC only let Fonzie wear his leather jacket near a motorcycle. But once the ratings exploded, that rule vanished. The jacket became permanent. The slow thumbs up, the silence before a joke. Those were all Henry Winkler's choices. He figured out that fewer words meant more power. Fonzie never fought first, never tried too hard, never begged for attention. That restraint was the magnet. The show didn't just feature Fonzie. The whole thing bent around him. The side character didn't rise. The series quietly rearranged itself to fit him. Typecast or trapped? Henry Winkler picked a third door. By 1976, the question of who mattered most was settled. Kids copied the hair, teens the stance, adults the thumbs up. Early jacket restrictions disappeared once Fonzie became unstoppable, and the money talked louder than any memo. Mego released the 8-inch Fonzie action figure in 1976, and it sold so fast stores struggled to keep it in stock. The toy even had a lever on the back so kids could make the thumbs pop up. That little detail became part of the character's DNA. By the late 1970s, Happy Days merchandise, lunchboxes, posters, toys, clothing, was bringing in tens of millions of dollars in sales, with Fonzie at the center of it all. Merchandising pulled Fonzie into places the show never planned. In 1980, the animated series The Fonz and the Happy Days Gang launched on ABC. Fonzie, Richie, and Ralph jumped through time in a cartoon aimed at kids who wanted more Fonz than one night of live action could provide. The show ran 24 episodes across 2 seasons, proving the character worked even without Arnold's, a laugh track, or Milwaukee. But here's the quiet truth. Fonzie stopped being just a character. He became shared property, a symbol, a national inside joke everyone understood. He was a Halloween costume, a lunchbox, a poster, a pose, a catchphrase, and a feeling. The Fonz was everywhere. The jump heard round the world, but symbols get tested. In 1977, the show made a decision that turned into a permanent pop culture warning label for every TV show that came after. September 20th, 1977. Season 5 opens with Hollywood, Part 3. 3 cameras roll. A crowd gathers at a California lake. Henry Winkler steps into swim trunks, zips up the leather jacket, grabs the ski rope, and glides toward a ramp built for one moment. There's no fear in his face, just confidence. By 1977, Fonzie believed he could pull off anything. The ramp hits, the skis lift, the crowd roars, and a mechanical shark breaks the water below. The ski jump lasts less than 5 seconds. The cultural aftershock lasts forever. But here's the twist. That night, nobody panicked, nobody groaned, nobody wrote a eulogy for the show. Viewers cheered, critics moved on. The next episode aired. Life continued. The real story began years later. In 1997, John Hine created JumpTheShark.com, asking, when did a TV show lose its spark? Thousands voted. Happy Days led the list. The ski jump became a timestamp for decline, even though the show stayed strong in the ratings for years after. The phrase, "Jump the Shark," spread. Radio, news, sports, politics, tech. By the 2000s, it landed in Merriam-Webster. Formal recognition, no debate. Henry Winkler handled it better than anyone expected. He laughed about it on talk shows, repeated the stories, and took ownership without bitterness. He turned the joke into longevity fuel. The moment that was supposed to mark an ending became the beginning of something bigger, a phrase powered by memory, not logic. The Fonzie effect, building a sitcom universe. If a new sitcom launched under Gary Marshall between 1976 and 1982, chances are the Fonz touched its origin. Laverne and Shirley? Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams debuted on Happy Days as double dates for Richie and Fonzie. Viewers loved it. The characters spun off into their own show by 1976, and by 1978, it was the number one most-watched show in America. Maybe you remember watching on a wood-paneled TV, rabbit ears wrapped in foil, arguing over who got to sit closest to the screen when the Fonz walked into Arnold's. That launch only happened because Happy Days, and the Fonz, walked them into the public eye first. The Fonzie spotlight launched multiple universes, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, and more. The pattern was obvious. Introduce a character near the Fonz, let the chemistry happen, then pull the lever and print the next series. By 1982, Joni and Chachi got their own show too. Joni Loves Chachi only lasted 17 episodes, so ABC pivoted fast. Both characters returned to Happy Days because the gravity around the Fonz was stronger than any spin-off that tried to orbit without him. That universe eventually sprawled into a whole cluster of spin-offs, live-action and animated, including Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, Joni Loves Chachi, and the Fonz and the Happy Days gang. Few characters in TV history generate a universe that large, that fast, without capes, lasers, or dragons. It was sitcom universe building before the term existed. Maybe you remember it in snapshots, neon at Arnold's, jukebox lights, and that moment when the crowd quieted just because the Fonz walked through the door. But too much exposure can blur identity. When a character becomes the glue for everything, the risk is that the glue overshadows the build. That tension led to a bigger, louder conversation much later, one the entire industry still studies. The show evolves, and so does the man. By 1979, reality hit the set. Ron Howard wanted to direct. Donnie Most looked for new ground. After season 7, Richie and Ralph exited as full-time characters. A sitcom built on high school friends suddenly lost its nucleus. The writers shifted the weight. Fonzie became the center. No side orbit, no handoff heroes. By the final season, he stood with Tom Bosley as one of only 2 cast members to appear in all 255 episodes across 11 seasons, 1974 to 1984. The stats tell the truth faster than nostalgia ever could. The show evolved because it had no choice. New faces rotated in, trying to balance the chemistry. Ted McGinley joined in 1980 as Roger Phillips, the cool cousin archetype. Younger characters got more airtime. The tone bent toward adult storylines. Fonzie teaching auto shop, giving advice, fixing more than engines. The setting stayed Milwaukee, but the energy grew less teenage hangout and more life stage navigation. The glue became emotional steadiness instead of schoolyard hijinks. The format shifted too. Early seasons shot single camera, no live audience, soft nostalgia. Later seasons moved to multi-camera, studio crowd, tighter punchlines, louder laughs. The show started in a 1950s window, aired through the 1970s, and ended in the 1980s. It never stopped time, it just repainted the backdrop around one leather jacket. The legacy, museum, statue, and cultural shorthand. Nostalgia hits differently with the Fonz because it stays physical. His leather jacket was donated to the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History in 1980, treated like a piece of U.S. cultural history. In 2008, Milwaukee put up a 5'6" bronze statue called the Bronze Fonz on the Riverwalk. The city argued for weeks, but the statue quickly became one of the most photographed tourist stops in Wisconsin. A TV character became street slang, museum history, a statue, a verb, a pose, and a feeling. Generations who missed the original broadcast still know the thumbs up. They still hear "aye" the right way. Fame usually fades quietly. This one stayed loud, warm, and weirdly human. Henry Winkler, Reinvention and Resilience. 1984 ends the show, and 38-year-old Henry Winkler faces the question every iconic TV star fears. Now what? Offers come, but they smell like Fonzie in different costumes. So he pivots early and smart. Instead of fighting the stereotype on screen, he steps behind it. In 1985, his company helped launch MacGyver, turning Richard Dean Anderson into a household name and giving 80s television its own kind of problem-solving. No motorcycles, no catchphrases, just science, duct tape, and momentum. Winkler directed too: Memories of Me, 1988, Cop and a Half, 1993, proving he understood tone, pace, and actors better than most expected. The guy famous for one note began thriving in every register. When he returned to acting, he did it surgically. Barry Zuckerkorn in Arrested Development landed like a punchline you never saw coming. Dr. Saperstein in Parks and Recreation stole scenes with minutes on the clock. The audience laughed, but the industry noticed something bigger: range hiding in plain sight. Then came the most personal reinvention. Winkler discovered his dyslexia as an adult, a late diagnosis that explained decades of struggle. Instead of accepting it quietly, he turned it into infrastructure. In 2003, he and Lynn Oliver launched Hank Zipzer, a kids' book series about a dyslexic hero. 17 books followed, then a prequel set, Here's Hank, 2014 to 2019, printed in a dyslexic-friendly font. The BBC adapted it into a TV show where Winkler played Mr. Rock, the teacher every misunderstood kid wishes they had. Decades after his Golden Globes for Happy Days, he finally wins his first Emmy in 2018 for Barry. The award feels overdue, but perfect. The man once defined by a leather jacket now gets recognized for emotional precision, timing, vulnerability, craft, and growth. And here's the real twist. A character built to embody cool accidentally became the doorway to a life built on courage. The jacket, the thumbs up, and the legacy nobody predicted. In 1974, a small side character with 10 lines, a slick jacket, and a motorcycle walked into a sitcom scene. Nobody expected history. But by 1977, Happy Days hit #1 on U.S. television, pulling an estimated 30 million viewers a week at its peak. That kind of audience today would break the internet. Fans began asking where to buy the exact jacket. Teen boys copied the hair. Adults copied the calm swagger. The bigger proof? In 1980, Henry Winkler got top billing. The show title stayed the same, but the real star had shifted without a fight. By 1984, when the final episode aired, 255 episodes had rolled, and only 2 actors had appeared in every one: Henry Winkler and Tom Bosley. That kind of loyalty to a character, and a character to a culture, happened fast and lasted longer than trends usually survive. Fame usually fades quietly. This one stayed loud, warm, and weirdly human. Maybe you haven't seen an episode in decades, but if someone says, "sit on it," or gives that slow thumbs up, a part of you is right back on that sofa again. Until next time, stay nostalgic.